Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. It's almost like I'm running a YouTube channel that talks about the distortions that we now see on right-wing media. And so I'll be producing a number of videos that just talk about those distortions and how the media, particularly Sky News, is deciding to represent world events and how we can choose to respond to them. And I think one of the great things about being independent and having a YouTube channel is to be able to at least push back against the crap that we hear from people like Sharri Markson, people like Andrew Bolt, and all of the after dark characters that Sky News tend to want to present. And we need to understand too that I did hear the other day that it is likely that Sky News will be sold, and I'm hoping that if they get sold, I don't mind them presenting a view that's a little right wing, that is different, I guess, from the normal mainstream media. But I do object to the distortions that they place on their media reporting, which causes people to think in an irrational way, if you like, about the news and how it is best covered. So my effort is to be able to talk to you about things that I think are important, that you can certainly, and this happens often, disagree with, but certainly are issues which are important to me and hopefully are important to the people who subscribe to my channel. Which reminds me, can you please remember to subscribe, ring the bell for further notifications, do what you need to do, and share my videos. That would be a great thing to do, and I certainly would appreciate it. So I'm going to kick off today with a video from my friend, my buddy, the man that I admire more than anyone else in the world, Andrew Bolt. So I'm going to have a conversation about something that he's posted and also about what is actually happening in the United States that is being reported and how it should concern us all. And before I get to Andrew, though, I'm going to have a look at an ABC article which kind of helps to explain a lot of the things that we've noticed that's happening in the United States. And it simply starts, what's happening in Los Angeles, the competing narrative, Donald Trump's America. And so it goes through both sides of this particular issue. And I think it's important to be able to articulate how both sides are represented in this space. And so it depends, and it starts off by saying, depending on your politics, you could see this as either a wannabe dictator illegally trying to quash civil liberties. Oh, hello, kind of the way I view it, I guess. Or local and state level politicians trying to stymie the policy agenda of a legitimately elected president. And I think that's a wonderful way to start this, because that does sum up the two sides of this particular debate. In some ways, what we've been seeing in downtown Los Angeles feels like an almost inevitable outcome of the re-election of Donald Trump. One of the leading campaign promises was the largest deportation of undocumented migrants in the country's history. And I just want to make the point here, which I keep making, is that, like him or not, Obama did deport far more people than what Trump has done to this point, and did it without any fuss whatsoever. I'm not suggesting it was right, probably wasn't in many cases, but nevertheless, there was nowhere near the disruption that we now find happening as a result of Donald Trump's effort to do exactly the same thing. And I think that's probably because he has people like Stephen Miller involved, who are just right-wing, hateful people. During the campaign, he continually blasted the Biden administration for allowing an invasion to take place on its watch, and promised to use the full force of the presidency to both end illegal migration and send back those already in the country. But in an immigration-friendly city where a third of people were born abroad, Trump is facing fierce resistance from both members of the public and elected officials. There's history in play here. Trump has long enjoyed ridiculing them both, that is Bass and Newcomb, by calling the governor new scum, which is just typical of Donald Trump. Let's dish out as many insults as we can because, one can't think logically about how to present your argument. Trump has further ratcheted up the political conflict by appearing to give tacit support to the idea that the governor could be arrested for opposing what Trump is doing. There are two competing narratives at work right now. Supporters of Trump say his administration has lawfully deployed federal resources, particularly members of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to raid locations and apprehend illegal migrants. They accuse people of unlawfully trying to interfere with the work of the government, in part through acts of violence and intimidation. So the federal government has now deployed large numbers of National Guard members and even US Marines to help protect them. And it goes on to talk about the popularity. So that cannot be denied, that it is a popular choice to raid places of employment and other places where there may be immigrants, and to ensure that those terrible, terrible people that Trump talks about are removed from the United States. Now, there's a lot of support around people that are that are illegal, who have convictions, and so on. And in America, I guess, there's little sympathy for those particular people. But we must remember there are a lot of people in the United States who may not have documentation, but who are not criminals, who are not crazy, who simply contribute to the population, who still pay taxes, who raise families. Those families go off and they go to get educated and they have good jobs and so on. So there's a lot of those people also in the US, and they seem to be forgotten to a large extent. But many of those also, the good people, are being targeted by Trump. So where does this leave us? Well, in my view, it leaves us with a distorted view as to what's happening in the United States. Remember that this is only one state out of 50. This is a democratic state, so there's going to be some sort of pushback against the fact that I guess that it is run by Gavin Newsom, and that there will be an effort in order to be able to confront Newsom because he simply is a Democratic governor. And there will be pushbacks also, I think, from other states over time. We just have to wait and see what happens. This is a trial, just seeing what will be the response of the Californians. And I guess the distortion for me is when this gets blown way out of proportion. And the way it gets blown out of proportion, I think, is aptly described by Andrew Bolt. So we have this clip of Andrew talking about the left-wing media and how that presents it, and confronting that, I guess, as being, as he's doing, which is about kind of what I do, I guess, but it's about the untruth, the lack of legitimacy that he sees in what the left-wing media are presenting.
It's hard to believe how much the American media left is trying to play down the extraordinary violence we've seen in Los Angeles since Friday, when immigration officials arrested illegal immigrants and a local Democratic politician summoned a mob to come confront them. Those officials came under a vicious attack. I mean, at times it looked like attempted murder, and at other times it looked like an insurrection by foreign nationals flying the Mexican flag. Here are some examples of that coverage.
The LA County Police say that they have it under control.
These agents are the ones provoking protesters and also making up, aggression by these protesters that later video shows people were not aggressive.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protest.
You know, you've heard reports that there are riots on the streets of Los Angeles. That is not what's happening across the city of Los Angeles.
Governor Newsom's right. There wasn't anything like a riot happening.
I don't think the National Guard is needed now. Things in LA are calm.
It's just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
Most of those demonstrations were very peaceful.
Doesn't the media often seem like organised lying to you? California's
Well,
Democrat governor, Gavin Newsom, he's now
Actually, your side of the media is just about that organised lying.
saying he'll sue President Donald Trump for sending in the National Guard to control the rioting. Trump, in turn, says his top border official, Tom Homan, could well arrest Newsom.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I was Tom. I think it's great.
Joining me is Donald Trump's first White House spokesman, Sean Spicer.
I'm not gonna indulge Sean Spicer, who's just a lying sycophant of Donald Trump, which is surprising given the fact that he was sacked by Donald Trump and who had to spend a lot of time lying about the size of the inauguration. So I guess my point is that, I've watched many videos on X and elsewhere in relation to these riots, so-called. And what is interesting to observe, I think, is that there's a lot of the same videos that you see over and over again. It's the same shot of the same cars being burnt and stuff being thrown from a bridge onto the police cars. But the reality, I believe, is that the majority of the protesters were peaceful. And that the governor is saying, well, if they're peaceful protesters, then our police can handle this. We don't need to have military involvement. We don't need to have the military on our streets attacking the public because, firstly, that's unconstitutional, and secondly, it's not necessary. So let's see what unfolds in relation to this. But let's be rational about what is happening. Let's not be too hyperbolic. Let's see it for what it is. Watch all the media, right wing, left wing, whatever. But let's cipher through it so that we can understand that what is happening in the United States, as horrible as Trump's measures are, that it tends to get distorted for the purpose of politics, so that Trump can use this as an opportunity to see how far he can push that envelope and whether or not the courts will support him. And if they do support him, then all hell's going to break loose in the United States, because this is only a trial run. Only a trial run. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell for further notifications. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.